The substitution method. The substitution method is an alternative method for solving a system of equations. So the goal is to solve one equation and then plug that answer into the other equation to solve. So there are 5 basic steps to solving using substitution method. So I'm going to pause for a moment just to let you look over it or read over it. But I think you'll understand it more once I actually start the problem. So I will pause it and then I will begin demonstrating the steps on how to solve using the substitution method. Okay, so let's do an example, and that way you'll understand what those steps are if you can actually see the process. So step 1 is to look at both of your equations and see if either one of them have a variable term that has a coefficient of 1 or -1, because those are going to be the easiest to solve for when using the substitution method. So notice in equation number 1, the x has a coefficient of 1, so we could use equation number 1 and solve for x, or it would be easiest to use equation number 2 and solve for y. So either one does not matter. I'm going to go ahead and use equation number 1 and solve for x. So what you want to do is you want to get x by itself, everybody else on the other side, using the rules of equations. So what would be my first step to getting x by itself? If you said to add 4y to each side, then that is correct. And now we have solved for x. X equals 4y minus 4. So again, step 1, look for a variable term that has a coefficient of 1 or -1, and then solve for that variable. Because what you're going to ultimately do is, it's all about taking one equation and plugging it into the other equation. So let's go ahead and proceed to step 2. Now step 2 is to take that equation, which, by the way, let's call that equation number 3, the one that we just created. So we said that x equals 4y minus 4. So what we're going to wind up doing is taking 4y minus 4 and plug it into the other equation we didn't use, equation number 2. Now you can't ever plug it into the same equation. You have to plug it into the other one. So since we used equation number 1 to create it, we're going to plug it into equation number 2, and you're going to plug it in x's place because we solved for x. Okay? So taking one equation, solve for x or y, and then plug it into the other equation. Now our next step is to just simply solve this equation. And to solve this equation, the first thing we're going to have to do is use the distributive property. We're going to multiply 3 times 4y, and then 3 times -4. We're going to bring everything else down. Our next step to solving this equation is to combine like terms. 12y plus 1y equals 13y. Bring everything else down. Our next step to solving this equation is to do what? Yes, I need to add 12 to each side. Last step to solving this is to divide by 13, and y equals 1. So now we have one of our uh, ordered pair values. We have y. In order to find x, all we need to do is to plug that y, the value that we know, into either of the equations. We can plug it into equation number 1, the original equation here. We can plug it into the original equation number 2, or we can even plug it into our new equation we created, which is called number 3. I think the quickest way to find your other variable is to plug it into the third equation, the one you created. Why? Because it's already solved for x, the variable that you need. All you got to do is take the y that you found, which is 1, and plug it into the other side in y's place, and you'll have your x value. So let's go ahead and do that. So we said that y was 1. When we plug it into equation number 3 into y's place, all we have to do is multiply. 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 take away 4 is 0. And there you have it. Your ordered pair solution is 0, 1. Now that last step, step 5, is optional. If you're sure about your math, you don't have to do this extra step. But step 5 would be to check your ordered pair to see if it's a solution. So all you have to do to check to see if that is indeed the solution is to plug it into both equations. And if when you plug it in, it leaves you with a true statement, meaning both sides are the same, then yes, it is your solution. So we said our solution is 0, 1. And notice when we plugged in a 0 for x and a 1 for y into both equations, it does check out. So yes, that is proof that the ordered pair 0, 1 is a solution, because this point makes both equations true.